Being on Twitch or YouTube lately, you may have noticed that a certain game called Warframe has gained a lot of popularity in the media lately. On Twitch, it is currently at the either 4th or 5th most watched stream, and on YouTube, it's actually gained a lot of popularity. On Steam charts, it is number 4 currently played game with 82,000 players, and you might be thinking to yourself, well, what is Warframe? Warframe is a game that's been out since 2013. It is classified as a third-person action RPG by a company called Digital Extremes. They're a small Canadian company housing about 170 employees. And Warframe has just gone through a huge update. Update number 21, Plains of Eidolon. And this update is one of the main reasons the game has shot up in popularity, seemingly out of nowhere. The game has been out since 2013, and it's never really been too talked about or too popular of a game in the eyes of the media or YouTube. It's always had a small presence, but it's never been too large. Back when it was released in 2013, it was kind of a poor game. You kind of were thrown into the game without any explanation of what was happening, and you just kind of were expected to play the game. Visually, it was okay looking for the time, but it wasn't anything too impressive, and the gameplay at level 1 at least was nothing amazing. Now, it was good enough to have enough people constantly play it for it to keep going many years, but in the start it wasn't as popular as it was now. It has only gotten more and more popular. But now we are here today. Is Warframe really worth playing in 2017? I'm here to really answer and ask that one simple question, and obviously you can make that decision yourself by the end of this video. So, as I said before, Warframe is a third-person action RPG where the tagline is Ninjas Play Free. It is a free-to-play game, both on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. And you might be thinking, wow, if it's a free-to-play game, isn't it very pay-to-win? It's the first thing I'm going to talk about. It's actually not that pay-to-win. The game itself is quite a grindy game. The game consists of you going on missions, killing enemies, getting items, crafting items, the sort. But the amount that there is to do in the game is just so vast. You will not be able to cover it all in 100 hours, even maybe 200 hours at all. You can maybe touch a bunch of the smaller aspects of it, but you won't be able to do everything in the game for at least hundreds of hours. And that is depending on how effective you are at playing the game, and really how much fun you're trying to have versus how much you're going to farm. So I'm going to go over the basics of the game itself and then talk about how Platinum, the in-game currency, is either free to play, whether it's pay to win, what you really do with it. But I feel like it's an important idea to get a concept of the game itself. So, as I said before, third-person ARPG, it's a shooter that's very comparable to Destiny in a lot of ways, if Destiny was on steroids. Now, people make the comparison of this game to Destiny all the time, but Destiny is a lot slower paced, and you don't have supers constantly. In this game, You play as Warframes. Think of them as your character class. You can switch them out every single mission you want. You can build new ones. There's about, I think right now, 33 or 34. And you can switch them out and level them up to the max level of 30, which is the level cap of any of the items in the game. So really, you have a lot more variety in character classes already compared to Destiny. 33 over Destiny's, I think, 3 or 4. So already, we have a lot more. And in Destiny, you pretty much, you shoot, you build up your super, you use your super. That's the general idea of the gameplay. In this game, all Warframes have 4 different abilities. You have the first 3, and then the 4th one, which can be thought of as an ultimate or your best ability, if you will. So this is why this is like Destiny on steroids. You can pretty much constantly use those abilities depending on which Warframe you're playing. Many of the Warframes have cooldowns on them for the abilities, and many of them do not. And almost all of them have a mixture of one or the other. And as you would guess, their ultimate ability is usually their strongest ability, but it usually comes with a cost of using the most energy. All Warframes have, I'd say, 4 main stat points. They have energy shields, or no, I'll just say shields. They have health, they have energy, which can be thought of as mana, if you will, and they have armor. All of those, I would say, are pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to go over that. But all abilities have a certain energy cost, some more, some less, some are toggleable, and some are not. This gives the game a wide variety of what they can do with each of the Warframes. Really, if you can have a toggleable ability, and you can have very low-costing weak ones, and very high-costing strong ones, there's just many things you can get away with. But the gameplay is this. You go into many of the missions, right, to farm up gear, or items, or whatever you need, and you build your gear and items. You can build weapons, you can build Warframes, you can build items, and really, there's just so much to do. There is a star chart that pretty much gives you the entire area, like the entire game. That is the map of the game. But you do need to progress through said star chart by going through each of the planets. Now, there is a way to bypass this by going with a friend if he's the main party leader, and you can just jump into any of the other ones, but there's not a huge point of that. If you do that, it's kind of like skipping a lot of the game, which, to be fair, a lot of people do anyways. And I don't know, I just don't feel like it's a main way to get the real feel of Warframe. I myself only have about 144 hours in Warframe, and there's just so much content in this game and so much to think about that I get it wrong constantly. Like, the way you build and make weapons and Warframes is through blueprints. You get the blueprints either by buying them or farming them, or getting them as drops. And they're all different. Warframe blueprints are usually dropped by bosses, almost exclusively, I would say. And Prime Warframe blueprints are dropped by a certain mode in the game. If you don't know, a Prime version of either a Warframe or a weapon is pretty much just a better version of that Warframe or weapon. That's all it is. It's a very simple idea that, oh, we have this gun, let's say we have a Glock, oh, and then we have a Prime Glock. The Prime Glock is just better than the Glock, there's no question about it. And that's just how the game is. We do have melee weapons, we have offhand weapons, and we have main weapons. Obviously, the offhand weapons are generally like pistols or small pistol shotguns. That's usually what they are. Main hand weapons can be anything from a bow, sniper rifle, an automatic gun, to an explosive rocket launcher. Yeah, nothing surprising. And then the melee weapons are anything from knives to daggers to bow staffs. Really anything. You also have a companion that follows you around. This is leveled up and acquired the same way as the weapons are. Through blueprints, you build them. That's, like I said, how everything really in the game is acquired. And you build him, he kind of is just thought of as a support character. It's just a little guy that follows you around. There's many different versions of them. You got Kubros, which are kind of like dogs. You got Kavats, which are kind of like cats. And then you have just the carriers, which are... or not carriers, just the companions, which just float by your right side and just hang out. They give you buffs, they can attack the enemy for you, they can do whatever you want them to do. It's very interesting. Now, as I said, everything's leveled up to 30. This includes the companions. But you might be thinking, well, if everything's leveled up to 30, how long does that take? And honestly, it doesn't take too long to level up to 30. You can, if you metagame the game incredibly hard, you can get your items up to 30 in about under 30 minutes. But that's if you really want to min-max your time and go at it 100%. Usually it'll take a lot longer, but it's really up to you. But that's not where the game ends. The game does not at all end when you get an item to level 30. You have an overall level called the Mastery rank, or Master rank, I can't really remember. And that is based on your experience you've gained from all your weapons and companions and warframes. Every equipable item in the game has a level. And I'm saying equipable by like, not, you do have gear and emotes, but those are just like small items. But all your equipable items do have levels from 0 to 30. And when you level that up, it levels up your Mastery rank. And when you level that up, you know, it goes up, gives you small bonuses, stuff like that. Your Master rank isn't actually an incredibly important part of the game. It is to a certain extent because you do need a high enough Mastery rank in order to use certain weapons. So you definitely do want to level that up, but it's by no means the main focus of the game. The main focus of the game is to grind and have fun. That is it. Really simple, right? So you have your weapons, and you have to obviously upgrade your weapons. You're thinking, how do I make them stronger? Well, pretty much you put on mods, you make the mods stronger, your gun's stronger. This can be anything from fire rate increase, to damage increase, to status effect, to AoE increase. There is a wide variety of mods and a wide variety of things you can do with your Warframe and weapons in this game. That's why it's just such a good game in my opinion. It's not that it's both incredibly customizable and incredibly beautiful and incredibly playable, but you can do whatever you can think of. There are an incredible amount of builds in this game that are both viable, non-viable, and fun, and made for speedrunning. Really, anything you can think of, it's possible. With 33 different word frames and hundreds of different weapons, the sheer amount that you have to do is incredible. It is just mind-blowing at the amount that you have to do. But I talked about that, so let's go on to the aim of the game. As I said, it's farming. This is where the pay-to-play, free-to-play, pay-to-win kind of aspect comes in. So the main game pretty much is to play and farm. I guess you farm up resources to build your items. You build your items and level them up. That is kind of the gameplay circle of the game. You're thinking, well then, why is it free to play? How do they make money? A couple of things. There is a marketplace in the game that you can just straight up buy some items with platinum, the in-game currency. Now, most of the time, this is a waste of money, and almost nobody does it because they just don't think it's beneficial to them, because you can just build the items yourself instead of buying them from the market, which is what 99% of the player base does. Some people might just buy items from the marketplace for fun. But of course the game includes a wide variety of cosmetics, which is where they make most of their game, or most of their money, and that's pretty much the majority of what people buy. It's all cosmetic items. Another thing is, when building your weapons and warframes, you have to wait. Most of the time it's a 24-hour wait, can be as long as 3 or 4 days. It really depends on what you're building. And you can spend platinum to instantly build it. Now, most people don't bother doing that because you are usually fine waiting 3 days for a new warframe, because once you get that warframe, you have it forever. There's 33 in the game. Once you build one of them, you have that one forever unless you sell it. It's really not that beneficial to you to buy 3 days waiting time unless you're very time crunched and really don't want to wait. Obviously, that's always up to you, and it's generally thought of as not that money conscious and not really worth it, which is why most people don't do that. Another aspect of the game is trading. People trade the mods that they equipped on their guns for platinum. We don't use credits to trade in-game, we use platinum, the real-life currency, which is probably another big way that Digital Extremes makes their money. So you can sell a lot of the time prime blueprints, and people buy those with platinum, because a lot of the times a certain prime blueprint is not available to get anymore. It might be available to get in the future, but at this time, it's not available to get. And if people have a stockpile of that blueprint, they can start selling them for a much higher amount of platinum than they could before. Let's say you have a blueprint to a part of a warframe, right? And it used to sell for like 10, 15 platinum, but then the warframe was vaulted. Vaulting a Warframe, or a Prime Warframe, pretty much means there's no way to get it at this time other than trading. So if they vault it, well, you're shit out of luck. Sometimes they'll have it in the marketplace where you can buy it with Platinum, or you can buy it straight from a player with Platinum if they have the correct blueprints. Now, as long as you have the blueprint for the Prime Warframe, you're good to go. You need the blueprint for the Warframe, blueprint for 3 separate parts of them usually. As long as you have all of that, you can build the Warframe. The specific items or materials in order to craft the Warframe will never be locked behind a paywall or locked behind a time wall, so you're safe there. It's always up to just getting the blueprint for the Warframe, which, yeah, happens a lot. There's a lot of Warframes you just can't get right now, but there's also a lot you can, so you're safe. The non-Prime version of Warframes you usually can always get, so you're fine there. It's just really the Prime versions, which are just stronger versions. So that's the main gameplay cycle of it. You play the game, you level up your items, you make them stronger, you get your weapons back down to level 0, so you can buff them a little bit, and then get them back to level 30. This is the general gameplay of Warframe. You are a space ninja. You jump everywhere, you climb incredibly high, and you can even parkour really, really well, actually. People like that. It's a fun mechanic in the game. You're really fast, and it's just a fun gameplay mechanic. But don't get me wrong, the game can sometimes be hard to watch. As you've been noticing in the background, obviously, I've been playing Warframe. That's the background video. And it might be hard to watch if you're just viewing in and you don't know what Warframe is. But that's okay. A lot of it comes with learning the game, learning how to play the game, and learning what people do in the game. The game can be played both solo and with a party, maximum of 4, usually, but really, it's up to you what you want to do with the game. The community of the game is usually very nice. There is a general chat in the game. Even though it can be quite memey and bullshitty at times, it's actually a pretty fun place to go. Another aspect of the game is raids. The game does have raids. I think it used to have a PvP mode, still might have a PvP mode, but that is by no means the focus of the game. It is pretty much a PvE focused game. The PvP in the game, if it's still there, I believe it is just a dumbed down player versus player experience, and no one really does it. So that's why the main focus is PvE, either solo or in a group. Raids are just bigger versions of PvE, which, you know, if you've played an MMO, you know what a raid is. It's the exact same as any other MMO. It's just, since it's a third-person shooter, it plays out differently. But of course, a raid is still a raid. You know the mechanics, you know how they go. Well, the mechanics will be different, but you know the general idea of that. Every player gets their own ship. Once you play through the tutorial of the game, you'll be launched into your ship. And this is where the game gets, well, real, right? It opens up the map to you, and it opens up a lot of customizability to you as well. On your ship, you can change the colors of everything. Literally everything in the game has a color scheme if you can equip it. Both your Warframe, your weapons, and your ship have amazing color schemes. And that being said, you can also buy different colors with Platinum, which I have totally done because it is 100% worth it to look even a little bit more beautiful with different colors. And of course, this is by no means necessary to play the game. It's just a fun part of the game. We call it Fashion Frame, which is the true endgame of Warframe, to look as beautiful as you possibly can. And people spend a lot of money on Fashion Frame, and it's amazing and beautiful. So since you can customize the colors of both your ship and Warframe, that unlocks a whole new level of customizability. You can make everything look even more beautiful. You can also attach things to your Warframe that isn't just additional colors. Warframes do indeed have attachments. They have like kind of emblems you can put on them as well. And the customizability just for looks is really high. Because let's be honest, if you're playing Warframe and you're playing a Space Ninja, wouldn't you rather play a beautiful looking Space Ninja? Yeah, I think so. So that's where the meme of Fashion Frame is the true endgame of Warframe has come in. And honestly, it's not a meme at this point, it's just true. You want to be as beautiful as you possibly can, and that's the endgame of the Warframe, really. So, if you're ready to look beautiful, you're ready to play Warframe. Now, that is most of what I want to talk about. Of course, the game isn't perfect. It does still have glitches, small hotfixes they throw in here and there. No matter what, no game will be perfect, but that's kind of expected. Warframe is what it is. It is a grind fest third-person shooter with a pretty solid community that has been going strong for many years so far. So, is Warframe worth playing in 2017? I myself would say yes. It's a good game. Even though the game's been out, I should say, for 4 or 5 years, you don't have to know much about it to get into it and start playing it. It's just a good game. You can ask questions. There's a plethora of wikis, YouTube tutorial, questions people are willing to answer. There's so much more to do in the game. The game has clans. The clans are customizable. You get your own space for a clan, and you can customize the areas in the clan, and you can build items that are only clan items. It's really, really good way to make clans and really good way to make a community, which is probably why the game has been going so well for many years. Since its release, it has only gotten more popular. More people have started playing it now than ever before. It is currently at its peak of players, and really, that's usually a good sign when they release a huge update and it doubles in the amount of people actively playing it. Or they double the amount of time people have played it. That's good. That's what you expect out of a big update. The real question is, can they keep this amount of people going? Probably. After the big update, we'll see a bunch of people play, and then it'll drop down a little. And that's what we always expect out of a big update. But Warframe's really good at keeping a lot of those people to stay. It's a really rewarding experience having to farm up all of your items. You make them stronger. You don't have to do it, and you don't have to farm certain items if you don't want to. But you usually want to. You want to build your Warframe's levels. You want to build your mastery rank. You want to be the best Warframe that you could possibly be. And that just comes with the way the game is built. That is the game. It's playing the game, farming items, and just having a good time. Maybe you play it with friends, you guys like to mess around, just screw around in the game, that's fine. People love to play it like that. And that is the true essence of Warframe. You can do whatever you want. You can spend hours in the game and achieve nothing, but still have a good time. You can spend hours in the game just talking with people and just have a good time. Or you can spend hours in the game farming, grinding, killing all the enemies, and it'll be just as rewarding depending on if you like that or not. It's just such a wide variety of things to do in the game and so much to figure out that I'm 140 hours in. I get stuff wrong all the time. People on Reddit shit on me, people on YouTube yell at me because I misspeak in my videos constantly. And that's never going to change. There's just too much to do in this game, too much to know. There's too much random small information that I'll just never pick up on. And you know what? That's fine. It's that kind of game. There's just so much to do. So, I would say, if you like the video, if you like what you saw, if you like the gameplay of Warframe, you should take a look at it. Download it. It's on Steam, it's on Xbox, on PlayStation. Free to play. You can spend money on it if you want. I already went over this, but really, there's no need to. Just try the game out. If you like what you see, have fun with it. If you don't like what you see, don't need to play it. That's the beauty of this free-to-play landscape we have.